is amazing.
Oh, nice.
So guys, we're literally started the Onefootball live show. I'd like to thank you for joining us once again. Last week we had an amazing show with so many comments, so we've come back harder and faster phrasing. So joining me we have Max Merrill. Thanks again.
How's it going, guys? Yeah, good to be here.
About your beard. Your beard game is very strong.
Oh, cheers. Like yeah, I was actually not even in tip-top shape.
Old school like David Beckham as well. Looking very cool. We have Rob from BT Sport who's going to be on your screens literally in a moment's time. He's going to be joining us for Mic Drop. We're going to be discussing the hottest transfer news, and throughout the show we've got some amazing features, so I'll tease them a little bit later. But first up, let's get to Rob. Hello Rob, thanks for joining us.
All right lads, how you doing?
Yeah, good. So we're going to go straight into the transfer news. I think Alexis Sanchez is the biggest story of the day. Do you think it's a good deal for Arsenal or good deal for Man United?
I think, to be fair, it's a good deal for Arsenal if they're getting a player in at the end of the day. If it's this swap deal, which like I can't believe happens in the world that isn't just FIFA now. The fact that they're getting a player in, which let's face it, Arsenal quite often have a bit of difficulty with.
Yeah.
They're getting a player who maybe hasn't been the best this year, but started like a house on fire. Got 5 assists in 6 games when he first started, and kind of maybe suffered the Mourinho effect a little bit.
Question:
I think that might be a fair statement.
Do you think he's worth 400,000 to 500,000 a week as a Man United fan, Max?
What, Alexis Sanchez? Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of money. To be honest with you, he is, to me, probably in terms of attacking players in the top 10 of the world. He's 29, which is, you know, obviously he's touching 30, so it's a little bit of a gamble as well in terms of how he'll hold up in his 30s. But I think he's a hard worker. He's a really good Mourinho player, unlike Mkhitaryan, who was never really a Mourinho player in terms of tracking back, in terms of the athleticism. So I think Mkhitaryan, he'll do all right at Arsenal. He's a bit of a fair weather player like Ozil. So I wonder what will happen there if you've got both of those in the team and they, you know, both of them do have off days, games where they sort of disappear a little bit. In the system that Arsenal have with the 3 at the back, they have room for sort of 2 number 10s, like Tottenham play as well with Ali and Eriksen. I could see that working with Mkhitaryan and Ozil, and then maybe Aubameyang up top or Lacazette as well. And I think Sanchez, I mean, it's a shame for Martial because Sanchez, I do like him on the left. He might play as a number 10 and push Lingard on the right. But if you got the opportunity to sign someone like Sanchez, you've got to go for it. It's a lot of money though.
As a West Ham fan, if you're at the stadium, you see a lineup of Sanchez, Lukaku, Rashford, and then you see a lineup with Arsenal of Mkhitaryan, Ozil and Lacazette, which lineup are you fearing more?
I mean, it's got to be the Man United one because it's got the Man United midfield behind it. I think Arsenal have a little bit of a problem there, but Arsenal as well, let's not forget that Aubameyang looks like he might be on the way as well. So Lacazette is probably pretty pissed off tonight, I would have thought.
Yeah. Can Lacazette work on the left, or do you think he's only really needs to be played through the middle, or can Aubameyang work on the left or the right?
Well, I've been told that Lacazette can play on the wing. I'd be surprised. I mean, Aubameyang started off as a winger, so you could see him playing on the wing. I think it'd be a little bit of a waste now that he's, over the last few years, really turned into a pretty good finisher. He does leave a lot of chances. You know, he does like to blast it wide as well, Aubameyang. But I think, you know, in a 3 at the back system, you can play with 2 strikers as well and have 1 number 10. Then the question is obviously who do you leave on the bench? Probably be Mkhitaryan if he does move. But I think Lacazette's the one that's going to miss out on this. And while I do think Lacazette is a decent striker, for the money that they paid, he's maybe not had the impact that they would have expected.
Is it a case that sometimes players, they forge a name for themselves in the French league, and then when they come over here, it's a lot more physical, it's a lot more demanding? Does it mean that the French league maybe isn't good enough the way that we value these players now? Yeah,
I mean, it's a tricky one because the French league is reasonably physical in terms of, you know, overall in Europe. But on the other hand, Batshuayi and Lacazette, both of them arriving for pretty sizable fees from the French league, where they scored a ton of goals, and both of them not really having the impact that that we might have expected from them. Batshuayi, maybe the expectation wasn't so high, but Lacazette, the expectation was pretty high, I thought. And
so, Rob, just to you, in terms of obviously not sticking too much of Arsenal, but Theo Walcott going to Everton, do you think he's going to be given a chance to see that potential we saw for him when he was a young boy, or do you think it's just over for Walcott? He's as good as he's ever going to be. He scored 100 goals for Arsenal, so...
Yeah, exactly. I think the problem with Walcott is the fact that everyone's always had this idea that he's got this enormous amount of potential, and he hasn't lived up to being a world-class striker. Yeah. But that's fair enough. He's been a good player. He's scored 100 goals for Arsenal. He's got 50-odd assists or 60-odd assists. He's got a goal in every 4 games when he's left. And as a player who's mostly been a winger, he's not done that badly. And he's been there for 11 years, won, 3 FA Cups?
Yeah.
Like, there are players that are much better that have won less than Walcott.
Do you think Walcott's current status in the world in terms of the way that people talk about him and they disrespect him is a case of, if Wenger had played him through the middle from the onset, would he be a different player than he is today? Because I always thought Walcott could have been a Michael Owen. It's just we put him on the wing. In his youth, he'd never played on the wing. That's like putting me in a chess game when I've been playing bloody checkers my whole life.
I think it was mismanaged as a kid a little bit, but I think a lot of that comes from the expectation and the whole taking him to the World Cup when he was 16. He didn't need to go, and he didn't need that level of expectation. He did mature quite quickly, and I think that's how it ended up for him. I think he matured quite quickly into the player that he is, and he never really pushed on to become something else. His problem isn't that he didn't fulfill his potential, it's that maybe his potential was never as high as everyone thought it was.
So then in terms of the current crop of young English talent, who do you think has that potential that probably could go to world class?
You have to say Rashford is the one that looks... When he's switched on, I think he's maybe not been as hot the last 2 months that he was when he started the season. But when he burst onto the scene, like, he really burst on the scene. He scored in all his debuts, didn't he? And he puts the fear of God into defenders, and he's got skill and pace and everything. And if a few things come together for Rashford, I think he's the one that you would say is maybe got the potential to be the next real bright young thing. But you're looking at the youth teams that have won all the tournaments this year. Jadon Sancho, 17 years old, I think. He started for Dortmund the other day and played the full 90 minutes. He was playing in their warm-up games over the winter break as well. So it looks like he might have a big next 6 months. And if he gets into that Dortmund team properly, they've given him the number 7 shirt. They've got a lot of belief in him.
Yeah.
And if he's in that Dortmund team properly...
Dortmund, do you think Aubameyang's going to do good in the Premiership, or is his game not going to translate?
So I think with Lacazette, we've kind of made the opinion that maybe it's because he's come from Ligue 1 that he's not that good. Yeah. But he's also been playing in a Arsene Wenger team that has looked incredibly low on confidence, hasn't made loads of chances. And the chances thing makes me think that Aubameyang will make a judgment when he comes over here that he's no good, because he won't get 10 chances a game, he'll get 3. And he'll score once every 3 games. The reality is he's a finisher, and similar to the Cavani, he's a finisher who profits from having a lot of chances. That doesn't mean he's not a good player. It means in the right team, he's a great player. I'm not sure that the right team for Aubameyang is Arsenal, because I don't know how many chances they're going to make.
It's a case that Lacazette has a lot of chances, but also he doesn't have loads of chances. But when you look at statistics, I think it's like 30% of his shots are on target. So if you remember that Man U game, he should have scored against you like a few times there. Obviously,
David De Gea.
Yeah, exactly. This is an amazing save, but he should have scored. Like, in my opinion, like, there's a great save and there's a shot that's not as good as it could have been. Yeah. And there's a few times the shot just wasn't as good as it could have been. De Gea did amazing. Obviously.
Yeah, I mean, I think, to be fair, Aubameyang is quite wasteful with his chances, because when you watch him at Dortmund, he gets a lot served up to him, and he does tend to blast a few wide. He does tend to fluff a few shots, and he really relies on pace, and I think that's why a lot of big clubs didn't go in for him in the summer, because he's 29 and he's a player who relies on his pace. And that's always a bit of a gamble.
Is he like a taller Walcott
then? yeah, I suppose so. But I mean, I think the Cavani comparison is pretty decent as well. But Arsenal don't really play with a lot of pace always in the final third, especially when they play against the smaller teams. Yeah. They can have quite a slow game, try and wear the team out with possession football. And I think in that kind of a game, Aubameyang might go missing.
There's one of the questions was, do you think Aubameyang's going to go to Liverpool? But it sounds like he'd do better at Liverpool if he was to go there.
Yeah, from the type of player he is, he might do. And I mean, Jurgen Klopp knows him well from his time there. He was the one who converted him from a winger to an out-and-out striker. But I think with Roberto Firmino, he's got the exact player that he needs. Firmino has the highest tackle success rate from any forward player in the Premier League, and we saw against in the Man City game the way he was breathing down the City defense's necks. Firmino is just perfect for that type of football. I think Aubameyang could do well there, but it looks to me like he's off to London.
Is there a way? I saw there was a BBC video they did where they compared Sterling and Salah in terms of they're both wing forwards, but they cut in. That's how they've been getting their goals. If we were to put, say, Aubameyang on the right or even the left, and he was to cut in, do you think he can get goals like that, or is it just simply both of those managers have said, look, this is how we're going to play, and this is how I think you can improve your game?
I mean, Aubameyang, I think the only way that could work is if he really didn't have any defensive duties, if he didn't have to track back, because he's not a player who tracks back well. Okay. And I think, especially having played as a number 9 for so long, even less so, he'll be less used to running backwards. In the Premier League, because of the breakneck speed, he would have to do that a lot. He could score goals there, yes, but I think he might then leave a few holes in defence on his flank.
I think he's not. Aubameyang's top skill is not his technique. Okay. It's kind of getting into the right places, getting the shot away, and his pace. And I think if you want to be a Salah or a Sterling, you kind of have to have a little bit more. I know people will say like Sterling maybe doesn't have the best technique ever because he's not the most sort of.
Because he runs
his
funny.
Final ball could be a bit.
His
final ball could be a bit off, and he runs funny. But actually, he is a very good technical player, as is Salah.
So, if you were to choose between Sterling and Salah, who would you have in your team?
Salah at the moment.
Yeah, I think Salah.
Salah works well in that Liverpool team as well because it's. Imagine being a defender and then you've got Mane on one side to worry about, Salah on the other side to worry about, and then Firmino just strolls in the middle. He's kind of samba dances in and has incredible skill and technique and will probably tackle you as well. Yeah, that sort of front three is glorious. Sterling is a part of an incredible team, but I also think that there was a story in the summer about Sterling maybe going to Arsenal.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
but Sanchez, right?
Yeah.
I don't think Sterling kicks on and has the season that he's had if he's at Arsenal. I think he is very much the perfect player.
Because I think it's a case that Arsenal have a lot of carbon copy players like Chubak-Pom, Iwobi and Welbeck. Basically, height-wise, they're the same player that's got bigger and bigger. It's like in FIFA and you design your own play, you just slightly put the height up each time. None of them have like a trick. None of them really can cut inside. I think Welbeck's super wasteful, whereas I think Sterling can do a lot more with the ball and he can create a lot more of his chances. So I think at Arsenal, even if we played him exactly in the same position as we've been putting Walcott, I think he'd be doing similar to what he's doing at Man City. Not the same amount of goals, but he would have cut in more and taken on players. So I think Arsenal's lacked someone who can dribble at players for so long now. Because Walcott just kicks it and runs. Well, Bellerin kicks it and runs as well, whereas we haven't had a true dribbler who can, apart from when Cazorla was there, but Cazorla's laying dead in the hospital these days. So it's a situation where we haven't had somebody who can really dribble with command, and if he needs to get a pass off, he can get it off. If he's two players around him, he'll find a way to get free. I think Sterling would have been that player for us.
What about Mertesacker?
The big Jeff.
I mean, I think probably since Samir Nasri, there hasn't really been a player that can beat someone, and I think there's
even before that Jose Reyes.
Yeah. I mean, with Arsenal now, if they get Mkhitaryan and Aubameyang, it could be a really dangerous attack, but they would have to reset the attack to suit those players' strengths. Mkhitaryan, he can beat a player, but he's also more someone for that pass. Yeah. Same as Ozil, even more so actually. Ozil, not really someone who I see as a player who can really beat his man and go past them and then that way create a space.
It's weird with Ozil. It's like he runs in slow motion, but he can beat someone, but it's just they'll catch him up. So he usually beats a man and he's got to lay the pass off. He's better when he's like a quarterback that's given the space to pick a pass. But I've seen him many a time where he's just dribbled it around a player with a little move. It's just he can't run away from you after that. Yeah, you can just do your laces up, wipe your brow, jog up after him, you catch him up again. So he gets himself in breakaway situations where you know the defender's going to catch him up. But he usually chooses a pass before that happens.
The big question mark for me is Mkhitaryan. How well can he play at Arsenal? Because if he can rediscover some of the form that he had, so there was like a period of about 1.5 seasons, maybe 2 seasons if you're being generous, where Mkhitaryan was absolutely on fire at Dortmund. especially his last season. It was crazy, and Tuchel really set his system up to benefit Mkhitaryan. If Arsenal can do that, and I think it could work in the system that they're playing just now, then Mkhitaryan and Ozil and Aubameyang, that could be a really potent attack, but it's just about getting it exactly right and not playing the traditional Arsenal kind of possession-based football.
Just quickly to you, Rob, if you were Jose and you had to choose who you're going to drop to put Sanchez in a team, who you drop in, and I'll go to you afterwards, Max. Because you've got prospects, like we just spoke about Rashford, and you know you've just spent good money on Lukaku.
Martial's doing well.
You've got Martial, you've got Lingard's killing it.
Well.
So who are you dropping? Because they're going to have an embarrassment of riches. I'll let you go first in that one.
I think Jose Mourinho probably drops Martial. But
so who's your front three?
I would probably drop Lingard. But Lingard's
killing it right now.
Yeah, no, he's in good form at the moment, but long term, maybe not. But who knows? Who knows? I'm going to say Lingard.
Okay, Lingard.
I really like Lingard's work rate. I mean, the same could be said for Rashford, but I like Rashford as a striker, whereas I see Martial really as a winger. So I'd probably, I hate myself for saying this, I'd probably drop Rashford and put Lingard on the right, Sanchez in the middle, and Martial on the left, or put Martial on the right and provide some crosses for Lukaku, put Sanchez on the left and Lingard through the middle, or just have them interchange. I mean, Mata's playing really well as well. Yeah, but I've got to say, maybe drop Rashford and have him as the striker to come in to replace Lukaku.
So you just had the answers from Rob and Max. If you're in the comments, let us know your thoughts. Who would you drop? Who would be your front line for Manchester United? Just another quick question. I saw an interview with Scholesy, who said that he thinks that Pogba is being played in a way that's out of position in terms of he thinks Mourinho is trying to turn Pogba into a Scholes instead of letting him use his pace and his power. He said when he was in training, he'd see Pogba just brush people off, even when he was a super young lad. Would you agree with that? Because he thinks that Pogba hasn't got a good pass, but then Pogba's leading the league in assists for the games played. So
I can see, yeah, I mean, I can see what he means. Like at Juventus, he played in a midfield three. He's done that on occasion at United, and he was in the left of a midfield three. For instance, against Everton, he did that. What I would say is, and something Paul Scholes also mentioned in that context, was that for the big games, I think United should switch to a 4-3-3 and have the number 10 out of the game and just have Pogba in that left, slightly advanced sort of number 8 position, and then have Herrera and Matic, for instance, to sort of take out the midfield, the opposition midfield. So I can see where he's coming from, but I think Pogba can play both positions. I think he can play as a holding midfielder together with Matic, where Matic sort of drops in a little bit more.
Just quickly to the comments, Tudu Mano wants to drop Ashley Young and play Sanchez as a left wing back.
Nah, mate, nah.
Famous for his defensive work rate.
Some people are saying to drop Rashford, that's Jaden Adipa, Sanchez on the right wing and Martial on the left wing, Lukaku up top. We had from Shahu Badal. Then Marco88, Lopez has dropped Mata and play Lingard in his position. Is that fair?
Yeah, I mean, I like Lingard on the right wing. I think he's like I say, he's got good work rate. He's dynamic. He plays with a lot of spirit. I really like. Also, his dressing room antics. Like, he's just a good guy to have around. I think Mata is one of those players who he's done fantastically well playing on the right wing, which is really not his position. And it's an embarrassment of riches to have. So as a United supporter, I'm really happy because it's a real headache for Mourinho. I mean, I'm probably biased, but what do you reckon, Rob? It's a good headache to have.
I've got some questions on Twitter and I'll put them to you guys. Rob, which club is better for Sanchez? Man City, Man United, Chelsea? That's from Ignacio Santiangelo.
I feel like Chelsea, there's an enormous Sanchez-shaped gap in that team. It would be brilliant for him, but... Sorry, it would be brilliant for Chelsea, but maybe not so much so for Sanchez. Sanchez, if he wants a title, go to Man City. But if he wants to play for one of the biggest clubs in the world, certainly the top, it's one of the top 3 biggest clubs in the world, and make loads of money and probably win a trophy within the next 3 years, go to Man United. It depends, because I think that the problem with City and bringing in top class talent is. I feel like I couldn't see Neymar going to Man City but I could see Neymar going to Man United. Do you know what I mean? Just because of the size of the club and the history of it.
Prestige? Yeah, you answered it. It's prestige and all that kind of stuff. And then quickly to you, Max. Who do you think Arsenal will need to bolster up their defence?
Ooh, good question. I mean,
That's
I think
from Carl Owen Edwards.
Yeah, I mean, with Mertesacker going, I think they've got some talent in there. They've got Rob Holding, who I think is going to be a good player. Callum Chambers, I don't see him being a Premier League centre-back for a top 4, top 6 side. Bolster up defence. I think, you know, the left and right back positions are good. They need a big central midfielder, central defender, sorry.
Is Johnny Evans the one?
Johnny Evans? You know what? As a United supporter, the most of Johnny Evans' United's career, I was like, no, please don't put him in the starting lineup. We're going to concede a penalty. He'll probably be sent off as well. To be fair, he's done really well at West Brom. I think he could do all right at Arsenal, actually.
You did. I'm going to test both your knowledge here. Who do you think has been the biggest potential? Which player do you think a manager thought was a flop but has moved on to actually be great? Like, who's the biggest one you think that's happened in history? Who someone's just got rid of? Obviously, we had De Bruyne. Yeah.
Probably De Bruyne, yeah.
Okay, we can go with De Bruyne.
That's a good question.
So what does that say about Jose?
Yeah, I mean, I think with Jose Mourinho, it was a bit more of an attitude thing that he was annoyed at with De Bruyne. Similar with Lukaku, both of them sort of fancy themselves as starting 11 players, and I think Jose sort of doesn't take any bullshit and just sort of said nah. And
no,
but I think that got that bang on, didn't he?
Yeah, he didn't get that one too well. But
any others throughout history?
It is a good question.
I feel like everyone that's left Arsenal, who's been decent, has left at their peak anyway. It's not like we thought, no, he's not going to make it. Apart from Andy Cole was in our youth team, I think. But obviously, Andy Cole went in to be Andy Cole. So
yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
Andrew Cole, sorry, in case he's watching me, beats me up if he sees me. But yeah, Andrew Cole.
Yeah, well, you never know. Maybe it'll be Mkhitaryan. Maybe he'll go to Arsenal and completely light the place up.
So we have one more question from Twitter. It'll be, do you guys think Arsenal can get top 4 if we sign Aubameyang and Mkhitaryan? That's from Jamie H. Shout out to Jamie07J Hurst. Either of you want to jump in with that one?
I mean, this season, probably not. I can't see them catching up. What do you think, Rob?
They're a long way out. They're quite a way adrift now. And it's weird, actually, the top 4, because Chelsea look like they're the ones that might be dropping out of it now, and Spurs going back in, because I sort of wrote Spurs off a little bit. I mean, I am a West Ham fan, so I'm obliged to. But I sort of wrote Spurs off a little bit a month or two ago. I just didn't think their squad was strong enough. But Chelsea look like that not having backup for Morata.
Yeah,
looks like that's going to be the big problem.
Well, I mean, they've still got Andy Carroll coming, so that's fine.
Official niche says, "Tell Rob I said hi, mummy." Is it someone you know? Or is your mum actually watching you on YouTube now?
Are you somebody's mum?
Yeah, exactly.
It's a Football Republic thing.
Okay.
For some reason, I have no idea why it started, but I started getting called mummy in the comments, and then I made the mistake of mentioning it in a video. So
since then
the minute I mentioned it was the end of the world.
Fair enough. Well, that's how we'll begin the next interview with Hi Mummy.
We should talk about Ronaldo as well, who's thrown his annual strop.
Yeah, exactly.
Of throwing his toys out the pram and going, I'm going to leave Real Madrid because I want as much money as Messi.
Is Ronaldo still worth the money? Because Madrid are playing terribly. So do you know what I mean? Like, is he still the Ronaldo of last year that's winning trophies, or do you think that was the last time he's going to win anything?
The mad thing to me is that Zidane hasn't been sacked yet, because at Real Madrid, they're trigger happy is an understatement. But yeah, I don't know with Ronaldo. I mean, it's I remember making a video not too long ago saying this is a guy who could probably be one of those players who plays into his 40s because of the way he looks after himself. Just physically the specimen he is, and the way he treats, the professionalism he has with keeping himself fit, and the lack of injuries throughout his career. But I don't think now that he wants to go, potentially, I mean, we never know, maybe he just wants more money and wants to make as much as Messi. But who would really take him? Manchester United and PSG, probably the two clubs that could afford him and would have been likely
Rob had
to
his
get
hand
him.
up like a good
Oh yeah, West Ham, you want West Ham, you'll take him.
Wait, because I'm going to go back to West Ham, because it confuses me how You said you didn't dislike Moyes, but it seems like you do dislike Moyes. I think Moyes is doing an amazing job at West Ham. But
he is doing a good job. He is doing the job that we needed him to do. But other than that time Everton got in the Champions League, David Moyes is probably not the man. If the problem is being a West Ham fan, you kind of happy with a mid-table finish, right?
It seems like you have delusions of grandeur, though.
Yeah, exactly. But we have, the whole thing that we were told by the board, who constantly lie, is that we're moving on to the next level. And if we are moving on to the next level, which is what you would think with a 60,000 seater, but obviously Newcastle haven't won anything for 60 years, that David Moyes is probably not the next level. That's all I'm saying. He's doing a good job. But
I feel like
if
each
you're going to tell me that we're going
you go
on to
to
the next
Olympic
level,
Stadium, that Mo Farah aura is seeping into your lungs. It's making you feel like there's a golden trophy waiting for you at the end of the Premiership. And I'm sorry to be the guy to wake you up from the Matrix, but that's not going to happen.
Hey, I'll take the
with Moyes.
at this point.
So yeah, we've had some great questions. I'm quickly going to quick fire some out from the comment sections, and guys, if you can give me like one word answers, we'll bang through these as quick as we can. First and foremost, should Pogba play at number 10 to you, Max?
Could do in big games, I think, if we want to bolster the midfield. But if we're going to play 3 midfielders and not a number 10, then I'd put him in the left of the midfield. That's from
Raghav. Questions. Then we had another question in terms of, do you think Ronaldo should go to PSG as a swap deal for Neymar? To you, Rob, that's from Seti.
I don't think it's a very good deal.
Which way is a bad deal?
Yeah.
I think it's a bad deal for PSG.
If Real Madrid can get that deal, I'd say bite their hands off. But I don't think it's a very good deal for PSG. They've invested quite a lot into Neymar.
Question back to you, Max. Best left back for United. That's from Raghav.
I mean, right now, and I'm really pleased to be able to say this, Luke Shaw. He's he survived the sort of Mourinho public outburst, come on and show you're worth it, attack, tirade, shall we say. He looks to be really, really good condition. I think Luke Shaw, unless Cameron Borthwick-Jackson can force his way into the team.
So just one last question, one answer. Who do you think Liverpool should buy so they can win the title, just for our Liverpool fans? That's to you, Rob.
Liverpool should buy. Well, basically, they've spent 75 of the money they got in for Coutinho, so I think they should spend maybe 30 million on a keeper. The Roma keeper is Alisson. I think he'd be a good fit, and then 30 million on someone big in their centre midfield.
Great way to end the show. Just 30 million on someone big. Mate. Just big old Andy Carroll dropped 30 million on Liverpool.
Yeah,
bring him on back.
50 million for Carroll.
Bring back Andy Carroll, yeah.
So yeah, Rob, thanks for joining us. It's been a great little discussion.
Cheers,
first one of mic drop. I wish I had a mic to drop actually, but yeah, that's my mythical mic. There we go. That's how we end the show. I like that. So we're going to go to a quick commercial break and we'll say bye to Rob, but we've still got the beautiful Max with us. So we'll be back in a couple seconds' time.
Good luck, lads.
Hello, mate.
Boom. Quiz time.
So we are back and we're coming thick and fast. Close your eyes for the quiz. Here we go. So we're going to be up on your screens for the quiz. It's going to be very exciting, and it's about. Do you want to introduce me?
Father and sons, yeah, man. We're going father and son quizzes, and this I think was a question for you, because I know the answer already. So I'll be fair, because So who said my dad will be the coach of Inter Milan? Who said? And it's a tricky one.
It is a tricky one. It's a very tricky one.
It's not someone who's been the. Hold on. Has he been the coach of Inter Milan? I'm not even sure. I don't think so. Who said my dad will be the coach of Inter Milan?
I don't know. We'll give the guys in the comment section a chance to try and catch up with us. I'm kind of confused on this. I'm not sure. There's a couple of names that are bouncing around, but I haven't got a succinct answer. Yeah. I'll let the guys in the comment sections help me out on this one. See if they know the answer. They can give me a little tip on which one they think is going to be. So Who said my dad will be the coach of Inter?
Been linked with Inter a lot, for sure, over the last few years. He's currently in charge of top European side, Champions League side.
Okay.
And his son plays in Italy.
Son.
I didn't know that until today, though. I didn't know that. I didn't realise his son.
So we've got Giovanni Simeone is one of the answers. Someone said David Moyes. Look at that. Eagle Eye has gone with Samuel L. Jackson. That'd be an interesting managerial speech at half time. A couple F words thrown in there. Some people keep saying Moyes. Maybe there's a lot of Moyes fans right now. We're going to do the countdown and we'll give you the answer. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and the answer is Giovanni Simeone.
So somebody had it right, didn't they?
Let's find that person who came first.
Yeah,
Morgan Anderson
was
the correct answer.
Decent. Yeah, Giovanni Simeone plays for Fiorentina. So who's next question? Right, this one's for me.
So Juventus are looking closely at the son of their famous defender in the League One side. Gungador, who is it?
Juin Comp. Well, the only Frenchman I know who played for Juventus is Lilian Thuram, or the only French defender is Lilian Thuram. But I don't know if his son, what his son's called. I'm assuming he's called Thuram as well.
Taken by father, by son. We will see guys in the comment section and join them, but they haven't quite got to us yet.
And I have no idea what his first name is, so I'm going to go for something that sort of rolls off the tongue. Sylvain Thuram, perhaps?
Sylvain Thuram?
I don't know. Or Francois Thuram. No, we'll go Sylvain Thuram. I have no idea what his name is, but Thuram is the only French defender I know who played for Juventus.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're going to reveal the answer in literally seconds time. Marcus Thuram.
Marcus. That's not a very French name, Marcus. Not your average French bloke from this Juin Camp. So, Antoine, where did this conversation between Mourinho and Patrick Kluivert's son, Justin, take place? Where was this? When did they chat? Ajax and Manchester United.
This has been the Europa League final last year.
Yeah. Where was it played?
I don't remember. For some reason, I think it was close to where we are now, but I could be wrong about that.
Yeah, but you've got to, I mean, you're on the right track. Europa League final. And I'll be talking about that a little bit. Well, I talked about that a little bit yesterday.
Oh, okay.
Justin Kluivert. We'll be talking about. Video? Yeah, we'll be talking about Justin Kluivert.
How good is he?
Decent. How's the chat looking?
We're going to jump to the chat, and again, people have said Europa League final. They're saying Man United versus Ajax. Yep, we know that.
But and where was it played?
The place, though. This is the problem.
Stomford. Nah, I don't think it was Stomford.
Sweden with a question mark from Matthew Dorr.
Sweden.
Someone's gone with a cold night in Stoke.
Yeah, well, United did win, which will have suited their squad better than Ajax. Cold night in Stoke.
In Europe, I love that one, Marco. That's my answer, in Europe. So we're going to count it down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Stockholm, yeah, Sweden. So a couple of people saying Sweden.
Yeah, people
getting it right.
Now. One person looks like he has a Swedish
Shayo got it right as well.
Swansea or Stoke. So my dad won the Champions League in 1999. What's his name?
What's his name?
There's a picture on the screen for you to choose.
Yes, well, he's wearing a Valencia shirt. And 99 was against, well, it was... The only United to Valencia connection is the Nevilles. The grandfather being Neville, brilliant name. May he rest in peace.
Classic.
Yeah, his name was Neville. He was a legend of sport in the northeast.
I had a
Northwest,
school teacher who's called Khalik, and I had a friend called Blaine Blaney.
Blaine Blaney. Oh, that's a.
His sister was called Billy.
Meow Meow, Australian ping pong player. Thank you. Thanks, Anthony.
It's a drug now, so Back in the day, it was an innocent name, but now it's a little bit more dodgy.
I'm going to have to go for, see if anyone in the chat knows. I'm going to have to go for, well, Gary Neville was only there for a short time, so I don't know why he would have brought his son. I don't think Gary Neville's son. So go.
Chat. Someone's gone with Torres.
Nah, Torres
Thierry Henry. I'm not sure he'd be Thierry Henry's son, but
Phil Neville, I think it is.
So we're going to count it down. Your answer is Phil Neville.
Phil.
Very good.
Cheesy grin. Cheesy grin.
Very cheesy.
And his Twitter handle is Fizzer.
As well. He's always tanned.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Valencia, you'll get a little tan.
True. He's the women's England manager.
Yeah. Interesting choice, but could be really good.
I always think the women's team should be managed by a woman, because then it's a case of them being able to build up experience, and it should be the pinnacle for the women's game, rather than have Phil Neville come across. I know he was helping out.
Maybe it'll help exposure for the women's game. Maybe having a famous face.
Outside of Europe or outside of England, the women's game's massive. Like in America, it's massive. So
it could be boosted by that.
So quickly, can you name 3 of the footballing sons of Thierry and Karim Hazard?
Yeah, so the Hazard family isn't just one certain Chelsea player. There are 4 of them.
Can you name younger 3? Brother at Chelsea as well. One of them.
One of them is at Chelsea, yeah.
There's talk. I read the other day of another one joining as well.
Well, one of them is playing at Gladbach at the moment and doing quite well. And he used to be at Chelsea. He could come back. He was loaned to Gladbach. Then he made his move permanent. And then now he's at Gladbach doing well and as a permanent
Benjamin Nimana has Kylian, Edan, and Forgan.
Yeah, Torgan Hazard is the one at Gladbach.
Yeah.
Nice one. Who's that?
First
Who got that? Mark. Nice one, guys.
That's good, and that's a lot of answers actually. Panka Kuma, he went with the same answer as well. There's a lot of people who know the answer to this one. Eagle Eye, he went with as well. Very good. Dr. English Muffin, again. I feel like you're all copying off the answer sheets now, though, because we've already kind of shouted that out. But there he is on the big screen. We have it right there. The answer.
Ooh, right.
David Beckham. David Beckham has 40 million Instagram followers. How many does his son Brooklyn have? So make sure you pick your answers quickly. You've got 1.7, 7.1 or 10.7 million. That's a lot of Instagram followers.
That is a lot, yeah.
How many DMs are you getting that you can't be bothered to read?
No, you can't be reading them DMs.
Exactly.
I mean, I'm leaning towards the higher number because Brooklyn Beckham, that's a decent name to have on Instagram. It's a decent name.
Your dad's David Beckham.
Yeah.
Beckham's busy earning the money for his son to be spending.
And he's a photographer, Brooklyn.
True.
So that's what Instagram.
We've got 7.1 to begin with. They're coming in thick and fast now. We've got 10.7 from Le Rupert. Dem Ice has 7.1. Seti has 7.1.
Ooh, Owen Tully aiming low though, 1.7. He's not getting it.
Aiming low.
What's up, Owen Tully?
So we're going to throw the answer up in the screen soon. Someone's put the most probable, okay? Just hedge your bets. 7.1 is basically the answer that people are going with. Ryan the Game has gone with 7.1. Sashenko went with the least, but actually the answer is 10.7. Again, you've been copying off the sheet from other people.
There's a brilliant Instagram video that Brooklyn Beckham uploaded where he says, "Oh yeah, I've got so many followers now, like thanks guys," and his dad just pops up in the back and says, "I've got 42 million." wait for your dad to just cramp your style. But to be fair, your dad's David Beckham. That's decent.
You know what you say, like, what are you doing for yourself, son? Like, you live off my name.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I didn't have a name to live off.
Which son of a gun scored a hat-trick at the Under-17s World Cup in October? Ooh, Under-17, so that's an obscure player because he'll be like 16.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Under-17 World Cup that England did very well at, and we were talking about their prospects. Is it a case, do you think England will be able to use those youth to push on to greatness? Or
I'm unsure because I don't know how much chance they will get in the Premier League. But if they keep doing like Jadon Sancho and going abroad, I think that could really help the English game.
I think that's been the biggest problem with England for a while. They don't go abroad. Is a case, we've got Woa. I wonder if there's a name or they're just celebrating. But yeah, it could be up there. Maitland-Niles.
Maitland-Niles, no. It's Timothy Weah, guys. Yeah. Timothy Weah, son of George Weah, who's, correct me if I'm wrong, just been elected president
of Liberia.
It's just insane. But his son plays for USA. Yeah. Strange one.
That's where he.
But he plays in PSG. This guy's well travelled for a 17-year-old.
He is indeed. Yeah, his dad invited Arsene Wenger to come to the ceremony.
Oh, fair enough. Fair enough.
He said he'd try and come if he was banned, and he was banned. I don't think he went there. But.
Yeah,
exactly.
Wenger just not taking the opportunities thrown at him. Man. Bad stuff. Bad stuff.
You can meet presidents. So we're going to read this one. Nissan midfielder Enzo Zidane was born in 1995. Where was his dad Zidane playing then?
1995. Well, yeah, I mean, he was at Juve during the 98 World Cup. I don't know if he'd been at Juve for 3 years, and he was in France before. But I'm not sure where he played in France.
A legend, though.
I feel... Yeah. Anyone in the chat?
In the chat, we've got Juventus. Sashko Aleshkov, he really wanted to say it, so he said it twice. Lovren Per, Juventus. Eagle Eye went with Arsenal. I wish Eagle Eye he was at Arsenal at that point.
This was when he had hair, so this is back in the day.
Dr. English Muffin went with Marseille, maybe?
Yeah, I thought Marseille as well, but I think I'm wrong. I mean, Marseille was...
went with Marseille. And we're going to put on the screen, so we're going to put you out of your misery. Hopefully it'll be Arsenal.
Marseille. Oh.
It's Bordeaux.
Girondin Bordeaux.
A certain winger that's getting a lot of hot press right now. Do you think Malcolm is the player that either Liverpool or Arsenal need?
I mean, I think transfer fee wise, it's a bit ridiculous for a player who hasn't had that much experience. I'd like to see him really, if he can keep up that sort of form for another season, then yeah, maybe. But I don't think he's like the fix for Arsenal or Liverpool at the moment. No.
So our next question is: I won the Soviet top league in 1973, and my son plays in the Premier League today.
Look at that stare.
That's a very Soviet stare.
Yeah, he's not looking too happy about winning the league. Maybe that's not after we won the league. His son's in the news today, and his son is about to join. I know who this is. Randomly, but is about to join Arsenal.
In the chat?
He looks set to join Arsenal. His son does.
Some people keep saying Wigan. I don't know why.
It's not Wigan.
I don't know where that's coming from.
Oh, maybe it's Zidane.
I love the answers that make us laugh. So we're having fun with this chat. So if you got a funny answer, then type that as well. Someone said Xhaka. I'm pretty sure it's not Xhaka, but I wish it wasn't Xhaka. Actually, he's becoming the bane of my existence. I wanted Xhaka to succeed, and I feel like he's letting us down. Someone's gone with Kolasinac. Someone went with Putin. I'm not sure Putin's playing football, but he's a man of many talents, Putin. I think maybe he could do. But we're going to give you the answer in 3, 2, 1. Mkhitaryan, that's his dad.
Hamlet, what a name.
Yeah,
Hamlet, to be or not to be.
Exactly.
A strange little name for someone who grew up in Soviet Russia / Armenia.
Of Shakespeare.
Yeah. Leroy.
Second most read poet of all time. Who do you think is the first?
Oh, gosh. I don't know.
They're not European.
Not European. Oh, wow, I was going to say something then. Don't know.
Things with L.
L? Fuck me.
The Chinese.
Oh, Chinese. Don't know.
Lao Tzu is the
Lao
most
Tzu.
read poet. Simply because there's a lot of people in China as well, and also.
Well, as we're on people whose initials are LS. Leroy Sané's mum. Whoa! Leroy Sané's mum won an Olympic bronze medal in which discipline? And you know what? I was told this answer earlier and I've forgotten again. So I thought it was volleyball, that was wrong, and now I don't even remember what it was.
I feel like it could be sprint, could be discus. We haven't had 100-meter sprint, so someone went with me, the Sashenko.
He has got pace. He has got pace.
We had an answer that I can't read out. It's not for kids. We had gymnastics from Panjar Kumar, hurdles from Isaac Asimov.
Could be gymnastics. Could be hurdles though as well.
Stripping from Matthew Dave. Borderline not allowed to say. And Benjamin Nemante said long jump. Well, he's put length jump, but I'm pretty sure you mean long jump.
Yeah. I don't know. A mate of mine, he's well, I say a mate of mine, I haven't seen him since school. But he plays for the Minnesota Twins. He's a baseball player, and both his parents are ballet dancers.
Oh wow!
And he's like really tall guy, but like really pace, flexible. He could have been a footballer.
Usain Bolt was back in training. We'll give you the answer and I'll go back to that story in a second. The answer
Boom!
is gymnastics.
Gymnastics at the 84
Well done.
Olympics.
Gymnastics. Panja Kuma said gymnastics.
Decent,
yes,
Panja.
Usain Bolt posted a video, or Johan Blake posted a video of Usain Bolt back in training in Jamaica, and basically had another sprinter from Jamaica saying, "Don't embarrass us when you play football." So that's why you're back in training now. So yeah, he's been having. Well, he's going to have
play
trials.
for United.
He's going to have trials at Dortmund.
Dortmund, yeah. Well, there's the Puma link there, isn't there?
Exactly,
They're both sponsored by Puma.
Question: if you were Jose and Bolt turned up at your door and you had to play him in a position, where would you play him?
I don't think he'll have the skills to play as a winger, even though he's got the pace.
Okay.
I reckon just play him up top. Just play him up top and play like mad counter-attacking football.
You're then Jose and you're telling Pogba how to get the best out of Bolt. What kind of advice you can tell Pogba?
Just wait until we're really deep in our own half and like ping it forward, and Bolt will just absolutely outpace anyone in front of him.
Because if you look at his 100 metres races, the first 30 metres he's not leading, but in football it's mainly 30 metre sprints.
That's very true.
Like the length of the whole field is 100 metres pretty much, give or take where you are.
So you'd have to be like, the opposition has a corner,
yeah, exactly,
and then just
That's
go
your
right,
game plan.
mate.
You give away corners, you have Bolt at the edge of your area, and then you just kick it and you run. That's a very good tactic. It'd be like you're playing American football. It'll be weird. In the comment sections, do you think Usain Bolt is going to make a good footballer? So next up, we have one of our features. So we're going to give you a quick break and we'll come back with the feature. So make sure you're still commenting away. You can keep tweeting us. I'm going to check my phone now, but we're going to go to our quick break and we'll see you again in a minute. Thanks for joining us once again, and we're literally going to go straight into one of our features, which features the guy right next to me.
No, it's not me. It's Ollie Moody this time.
Ollie Moody this time.
Yeah,
okay.
but
well, either way, we were talking about the sons of legends and what they can move on to. So we have Kluivert.
Yeah, Patrick Kluivert, pretty decent player in his times.
Exactly.
I think, I hope I'm not getting this wrong. If I am, apologies. I think he was done for taking drugs at some point. Or he was suspected.
Jump in the comments, get on Google, and you can fact check.
I will fact check this in the break.
This is fake news we're going to get.
Meanwhile, Ollie Moody tells us all about his son.
Reportedly, I'll just throw that in there.
His son, Justin Kluivert, yeah.
There we go. We'll see you again in a minute, guys.
I need to check.
Justin Kluivert is the teenage son of former Top Gun Patrick Kluivert, and he's tearing up Dutch football right now. He's not just living up to the hype created by his famous surname, he's using his lightning pace, dribbling and finishing skills to put his first name up in lights too. And that ensures the biggest clubs on the planet are thinking of that name above all others when looking for the next generation of goal-scoring talent. Let's frame this simmering transfer story by looking at both what's made him a prime target in Spain and England, and a story that two generations of football fans are following so closely. First, his rapid coming of age, the family history and the family future linking him to Barcelona. His younger brother is already there, a possible link to Manchester United. That's where his idol made it big. And how his agent has both of these clubs on speed dial. 18-year-old Justin Kluivert is a shooting star. Last May, he was an unused substitute as Ajax fell to Manchester United in the Europa League final. The ambitious youngster wasn't happy. But after a summer spent with that disappointment burning inside, he's emerged into a new year, having taken over the left wing spot for the Dutch Giants. It's a home that's both a stage for his talents and a torture chamber for defenders who dare to face him. A goal-scoring run pre-Christmas began with a hat-trick against Roda, a feat his famous father never achieved in an Ajax shirt. Yes, he has well established himself on the world stage, even if you didn't know the family history. Justin Kluivert is a star in his own right, and a big transfer story too. Our memories of Papa Kluivert just add romance. In terms of bloodlines, we are talking football royalty. Patrick Kluivert burst onto the scene as an 18-year-old, and in his first season, he was Ajax's top scorer as they won the league without suffering a single defeat. Oh, and that year he also scored the winning goal in the Champions League final. No big deal. He went on to win another Dutch title, and that, combined with 40 goals for the Netherlands, make him a Grade A legend in his home country. But he's also a hero in Catalonia, after scoring more than 120 goals in 6 years at Barcelona. And so, now we see why Barcelona are so aware of the size of the talent involved here. They've been watching Justin from afar, and also providing a home for younger brother Shane. He's 9, he's wearing Barcelona colours, and he already has a Nike contract and 200,000 Instagram followers. And it seems Justin wants to join his brother. He says Barca is his dream club, and that he wants to follow in his father's footsteps and play for Los Culés. So the links to Barcelona are very real, past and present. And word is Barcelona are so keen, they want to get this business done now, rather than wait for the competition for his signature to heat up and the price to rise even further. And that brings us to Manchester United, and a very specific moment in history involving Jose Mourinho. It's the Europa League final in Stockholm, and Manchester United have just beaten Ajax 2-0 to secure a spot in the Champions League. Before celebrating with the team, Jose Mourinho makes a beeline for unused substitute Justin Kluivert. Lip readers in the Netherlands say this exchange was Mourinho asking young Kluivert to stay at Ajax for one more year before transferring to Manchester United in the summer of 2018. It was a very public show of affection for Kluivert, and since then he's only made the search for his signature one of the most intriguing in football. To add fuel to the flame, Kluivert has said that he wants to play in the Premier League. On top of that, his role model is Cristiano Ronaldo, who you may recall had a pretty successful spell at United. Both of these possibilities represent a huge opportunity for an 18-year-old, but also a daunting challenge in terms of playing time. And there is another option. Let's call it the Naby Keita move. Italian media has linked him with RB Leipzig, and just maybe it would be better to get actual game time in the Bundesliga rather than sit on a bigger club's bench. And now, if you thought the plot couldn't thicken any further, allow me to introduce Justin Kluivert's agent, your friend of mine, Mr. Mino Raiola. He's got Mourinho's ear, having brought 4 of his clients to United since the Portuguese coach took charge. So it would hardly be a shock if Raiola has been stoking Mourinho's admiration for the forward in the hope of bagging another big fat commission check. But he's got Barca's number too, and he's got a big fat smile on his face because he once again has one of the hottest talents on the planet. So everything is in place for Justin Kluivert to continue the family tradition and make a big money move to a super club. He's got the skills to take on the big leagues, links to 2 of the richest, most successful clubs in the world, among others, and an agent who devours huge transfers for breakfast. So where do you think Kluivert Jr. will go? Man United, Barca, or somewhere else? Let us know in the comments.
So that was a great video from Ollie. In terms of Kluivert, what do you think the best option is for him? Like, where should he go?
I mean, I think at United he wouldn't get regular game time. It might be a case of them signing him up and like loaning him back out to Ajax or something. I mean, you can definitely see the case he's making for Barcelona and United, but perhaps RB Leipzig, who've been rumoured to be interested, is quite a good address because just in terms of getting game time and developing his game, that's a place where a lot of young players get played. They play a really attacking system with basically 4 forwards, like a 4-2-4. So he'd probably get games there and be playing in different positions across the front line. So I think the smart move in terms of his career development would be either RB Leipzig or staying at Ajax for a little bit and then getting a big move because he's 18. Yeah.
Do you think it's the similar situation to Naby Keita in terms of that being the gold standard of how you handle being young and being quality in terms of, okay, Liverpool come in, but you make sure you stay at your club long enough to really develop your game rather than be like a Walcott where you get to a big club and you just sit on the bench for a while and you haven't, your progression stunted?
Yeah, I mean, Naby Keita, you can certainly see the trajectory in terms of like this season he's experienced Champions League football with Leipzig. It's second season syndrome, he's experienced that as well now. I wonder what he's going to be like at Liverpool, because he was so good last season, and this season he's tailed off a little bit. Is that because he's distracted because of the move? Maybe. It's very likely, but maybe he's also, you know, really had an amazing season last season, and he's not quite been able to carry that form on just from a playing kind of point of view. I reckon it's a lot to do with his move, that he knows he's going to Liverpool, he knows it's not the same.
Do you think it's the case that sometimes, especially nowadays, we're giving people one season and we're slapping a price tag on them straight away, rather than let them develop themselves over time, they've got to do well?
For sure. I mean, look at Ousmane Dembélé at Dortmund, who then suddenly went for a minimum fee of 120 million to Barcelona after one good season, really. And before that, he'd had one decent season, or very good season in France, granted, but you know, Dortmund was his first proper season at the highest level. And so far, he's been dogged by injuries at Barcelona, so maybe it's a case of, you know, once he gets fit and once he gets running. I mean, he's not going to be bad at Barcelona, because, you know, Paulinho is pretty decent at Barcelona, and he's not a great player. But I think Ousmane Dembélé, same with Kylian Mbappe. That's a lot of money.
Is Mbappe in a different situation where, when you watch Mbappe, you know he's the truth? Like when he puts on a French shirt, he's the truth. He's putting a big shirt, he's still the truth. And before he was the truth at Monaco. Whereas other players have had like one great season, and after that you've been like, okay, well, because even Dele Alli's kind of tailed off a bit, and obviously he was already at the club, but let's say Dele Alli was at like a championship side, they'd have slapped a ridiculous price tag on him. Even if he'd been in Europe and not been English, they'd have slapped a ridiculous price tag on him, and he'd be going for ridiculous money somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean, I think it really depends on the player. As you say, Mbappe, you can kind of see the class, but like he's an intelligent player as well. He moves well. He finds his teammates, all that stuff. With Dele Alli, I mean, it was weird because he moved early, and you kind of thought, oh, he's going to be a player who might go on loan a little bit, and he broke into the team, and he was trusted by his managers. So I think it's a lot to do with what kind of manager you're in under, and what kind of pressure you're at working under. Because at Leipzig, for instance, the pressure last season there was no pressure. You've just come up, you've been promoted, and suddenly Leipzig are playing second in the league, and Naby Keita just soaked it up, and I think he loved it. And it depends really, how is he going to react to the pressure at Liverpool, because the pressure with the price tag is going to be massive. He's going to have a lot of pressure on his shoulders.
It seems like a similar situation where if you're in, like, say, a lesser club in terms of what people don't expect, that club has a great season, they automatically assume that, these two standout players are the reason why they had a great season. So Vardy and Mahrez, and it's for Monaco, it's Mbappe and Thomas Lemar. In a situation where that success for the team then becomes the price tag for the player.
I mean, I suppose the exception would be N'Golo Kante, who's worth every penny in terms of what Chelsea spent. But I know what you mean, and I think a lot of times it's also a case of a manager, you know, making sure that the game plan is very much set up to play to the strengths of a few attacking players like Vardy, like Mahrez. And the smart money was spent on N'Golo Kante, and Mahrez and Vardy are still at Leicester, and they're doing well. But I think N'Golo Kante, for instance, enabled them to play in a 4-4-2, which, you know, in the Premier League it's tricky to get away with that. And N'Golo Kante was just an extra man. He was like two men in midfield, you know. So
we've just had a little discussion between us, but we're going to go straight to your Q&As. Remember, you can be tweeting us. Literally, you see as at Antoine Speaker, that's me, and at Max Merrill, that's Max.
At Max Merrill underscore. Somebody stole my.
Underscore as well. I hate that. There's another person called Antoine Allen, which is obviously my name. He's a director, so he's in the media, and he's got my name. And I had to go with something else. But yeah, you can tweet us, literally going to be on the screen, and you can go into the little comment section and be able to get that as well. I'll make sure I put it down. But you want to get your questions. I asked you earlier for some questions, so I'll quickly get those. But first up, we'll go with this question I saw, which was, in terms of Liverpool, do you think they are one player away from really challenging for the title? Or do you think they've got a lot more to do?
I think certainly they'll need a midfielder, a central midfielder in the summer, especially with Emre Can. Emre Can looks very much likely that he's going to Liverpool. We've seen even more. A player like this wouldn't do them bad, Suarez, but I think they're really well set up now with Virgil van Dijk. I think a goalkeeper and a central midfielder who can really clean up behind the likes of maybe Oxlade-Chamberlain, who's having a great season in midfield for them, yeah, maybe it's Adam Lallana, maybe it's a case of Naby Keita. I don't know exactly how their midfield's going to set up, but I think they'll need a holding midfielder to just keep keep their backs free. So 2 players for me.
This is a great question, I think, from Eagle Eye 3500. I'm going to say it like that because it's easier. He said, who is the greatest midfielder to ever grace the Premiership? I think that's a great debate for everyone to jump in. So get into the comment section and tweet us.
Greatest midfielder, I mean...
It's hard to choose what you're looking for, really.
Yeah.
Do you want attack? Do you want steal? Do you want captaincy?
Yeah, I mean, there's two greats from our respective clubs, Vieira and Keane, are definitely there. And I mean,
if you had to choose one or the other, not as a Man United fan, you're starting a team, who'd you choose?
It's a difficult one, and I'm
how
going
much do they cost in today's money?
Ooh, a lot of money.
You see the interview with Keane where he says that how much is Scholes worth? He's like 2 billion. How much is Giggsy worth? 3 billion. That's why I love Roy Keane.
I mean, Vieira, what a great leader he was, what a great player he was. I've got to be a little bit biased. I'll probably go for Roy Keane just because I think people forget when he joined United from Nottingham Forest, he was actually he was a box-to-box player, and he could attack, and he would score quite a lot of goals at Forest. I just love Keane, the passion. I love the work rate.
I'll give you my counter argument. I'm going to go with Vieira again. We've basically just chosen our teams. The reason is I think Keane's come into the dressing room and shout at people and he'll get people going. I think Vieira has a more finesse to it, and that's why he was able to lead France to a World Cup in terms of being one of those key players within that team as well. I think Keane missed that when he was supposed to go to the World Cup and he started having arguments and it just ended up happening. I think Vieira would have never have done that. I think he saw the bigger picture and made sure that both for club and country he represented.
Yeah, Keane was his own worst enemy for sure. And I think later in his career he burned his bridges at Man United and all those kind of things. It's a shame with him, really. By the way, I've just seen a tweet which caught my eye. I've got to bring this up. Peter Crouch is apparently now being linked with Chelsea because the deal with Andy Carroll is off. This has got to be fake, but I mean the Telegraph are going with this. Peter Crouch, Andy Carroll was linked with Chelsea quite extraordinarily for a fee of 20 million, and there was a lot of links with this. This wasn't like a one-off, somewhere in the Daily Star in the back of the column. Oh, we need to fill about an inch of column space. Can you come up with something? This was a proper rumor that we were expecting a medical. But of course, Andy Carroll, as so often, is injured, 3 weeks out with an ankle injury, so that move is off. And now, incredibly, Peter Crouch is being linked with Chelsea. I can't see that happening. I really want it to happen, though.
I love it to happen. Any Chelsea fans in the chat, make sure you talk about whether you want it to happen or not. Some people have gone with Lampard for that question. Scholes, someone went with Charlton.
In the Premier League, I think Charlton didn't play in the Premier League.
So I'm not sure that's the correct one. Someone with Vieira, Matthew Dawes with Vieira. Marcus plays with Gerrard. There's so many great players.
I mean, so many good players, yeah. It really depends, like you said, what you're looking for. I think if you could pick an all-time Premier League midfield, certainly Vieira and Keane, that would be a pretty decent midfield. But Scholes as well, another player that you could keep taking there. Gerrard and Lampard. It's a really tricky one. And I mean, obviously he's only played in the Premier League three seasons, but N'Golo Kante also an amazing player. I mean, he's far off being an all-time great. But all those players, some magnificent players. And Pogba, he could sort of in the future nail down a space in the history of the Premier League for the best player.
Just to link back to one of our previous questions, Ryan the Gamer wants to know, do you think Kluivert goes to United will be a flop, or if he waits a year or two, he'll be more successful?
Well, I think at this point, with Sanchez coming in, you've got Martial, Rashford, Sanchez, Lingard, probably all ahead of him. So he'd face really stiff competition. I'd love to see him at United, but I think he's the type of player who would really benefit from a few years developing and maybe going to a club like RB Leipzig, maybe going to a club like, maybe even staying at Ajax. He's 18. He really has to prove himself.
We're in an era where, especially for top 4 clubs, it's hard for you to put a youngster out because you've got to win titles to hold onto your job. Yeah, you can't be a coach of terms of blooding young talent and really trying to develop him. You've got to win games today. You're not trying to plan for 10 years from now because you probably won't be there. Yeah,
for sure. And I mean, you look at Wilfried Zaha, who went to Man United with great promise, and he was unlucky because he was signed by Ferguson and then David Moyes came in. But A player like that, who now at Crystal Palace is looking like he's sort of caught himself again, could go to a club like Spurs or Arsenal, where I think he would do well at either of those clubs. But yeah, it's difficult. Although, there are exceptions. Rashford, for instance, he was thrown in by Louis van Gaal, and no matter what Van Gaal says, I was in Manchester at the time. I was watching every game. I was going to the stadium a lot of times. It was just needs must. We had loads of injuries that he had to play Rashford. But it was a lucky break for Rashford, and if you can capitalise on that, you can get through.
Do you think, from SETI 2248, is 30 million and Giroud a good offer for Aubameyang?
I think it's I think it's a good deal for Arsenal.
Okay.
30
There's a previous
mil.
question as well. How well would Giroud do in the Bundesliga?
I think he'd do fantastically well at Dortmund. Yeah, I think he would do really well because he can not only hold it up and spread the play, he can head goals in, and he loves scoring at the near post. Yeah. And he gets in and amongst into the 5-yard box, gets his little goals, and I think because of his strength in the Bundesliga more so than in the Premier League, he would dominate central defenders. So I think he'd be a good signing for Dortmund to tie them up for the end of the season, and then in the summer they can maybe get another striker in. But Giroud, I rate him, and I think at Arsenal right now he's got a decent role of coming in, in the 60th minute in some games and scoring goals. Maybe he's not happy with that.
I find it weird that he starts for France, but he's on the bench for Arsenal.
Yeah, it's strange, but I think in the French team he suits that role because you have players like Mbappe, like Dembele, like Griezmann, who are all sort of small players who can play up top, like for instance Mbappe and Griezmann. But it's quite good to have that different type of player.
But then you could do that same formation with Arsenal.
You could.
Obviously, we haven't got players on that level, but you've got players of that height who could do something similar, and you could have Giroud as just that pivotal figure at the top. He could be heading stuff down or setting people up with little knock-on balls.
Yeah, I think the problem with Arsenal is, for instance, Mesut Ozil doesn't score enough goals, whereas a player like Mbappe, Dembele, they will chip in with goals. Griezmann, of course, as well. So I think Ozil is just not, while he's an assist king, he just doesn't score enough goals to be so to warrant Giroud to be there and not score goals. Like in the French team, Deschamps, at the end of the match, if Giroud hasn't scored but he's held up the play, he's been strong in defence, he's occupied defenders, Deschamps will go, yeah, you did your job. Yeah, exactly. If he doesn't score for Arsenal, people will say, no, he's not done his job.
Exactly. Quick question, we're going to ask, who will replace Benzema? That's from Norma Seguncia.
Yeah, I mean, for me, that is a case of just really poor transfer policy from Real Madrid because they had the replacement in their squad at the end of last season, Alvaro Morata. Getting late, boys. Alvaro Morata, who they sold for a lot of money, but I think they should have just kept him. So that, for me, would have been the clear choice to replace Benzema. Now, it's real tough. I mean, there's not...
Do you think Harry Kane chooses Real Madrid or Manchester United? Because I know there's talk of him going there eventually.
Yeah, I mean, I think if he were to go, he'd go abroad. Okay. So I could see him maybe going to Real. But you know what? Honestly, I could see him staying at Spurs.
It's a tricky one. If Harry Kane stays at Spurs his whole career, he's top scorer in the Premiership ever, but he doesn't win a trophy. Is his career then a failure? In the comment section as well, but...
No, I don't think it's a failure in the same way that I don't think Alan Shearer's career is a failure.
Shearer won the Premiership.
Sorry?
Blackburn.
Yeah. But I mean, in terms of his club, Newcastle, he was a club legend there, and I think,
but you don't think it's
or same with Gerrard.
Then?
Gerrard is he a failure? He was a club legend at Liverpool. He did win the Champions League. Yeah.
You're comparing players who've got cabinets with trophies in it, like.
Yeah, I mean, Gerrard and Shearer, they both won a big title in their career. That's true. Harry Kane, if he doesn't win a trophy, I mean, I wouldn't see it as a failure just because I think in terms of the contribution he's brought to his club, and maybe if he can do something for England, if he could, well, here's me dreaming again, if we could win the World Cup. We won't win the World Cup. Or maybe the Euros though, just maybe they'll win the Euros. But Harry Kane...
There, what do you think is holding back the England team from winning? Do you think on paper with the money, we have a lot of players that are worth really doing something with, like you should be able to achieve?
Yeah, right now I'm worried about central midfield with England.
Do you think Wilshere should be in there?
Like a few weeks ago I would have said hell no, but if he stays fit and he plays the way he does...
So everyone's fit, Wilshere, Barkley, who are you playing in the middle?
I think Wilshere's got to be in there, and then maybe Eric Dyer to give him cover, and play with the three at the back, we've got loads of players who could play wing back,
In your top 3 years. I asked this to Ed last week.
Front three. I mean, me and Ed have got a pretty similar opinion on this matter. I've got to say Harry Kane up top, and then have probably Rashford and Sterling. I'd say, yeah, probably Rashford and Sterling around him.
Ed went with Vardy, so
yeah, Ed went with Vardy. I mean, I can see the argument for Vardy as well. I just don't see Sterling as a number 10, so I'd see England playing with Harry Kane up top and then 2 wingers, or forward players who can play wide as well, like Rashford, and Sterling would be great. And Sterling has to be in the team, really, the way he's playing right now. Vardy could come on.
If you were the manager, first names on the team sheet are first 3 names.
Definitely Harry Kane.
Harry Kane.
Jordan Pickford in goal, because I don't like any of our other goalies at the moment. I love Fraser Forster actually, but he's having a poor season.
Okay.
I really want Harry Maguire to start for England. I really rate him.
A minute ago you said Sterling has to be on the
Yeah,
team.
sorry. Yeah, Sterling. Dele Alli, of course. I mean, there's so many players for me that have to play. Dele Alli, 100%. At right back, it's a tricky one.
Dele Alli, Rashford, Sterling, and Kane.
Oh, yeah, wait, and I can't drop on one of them. No, I'll play Dele Alli in midfield. I'll play Dele Alli in midfield with Eric Dyer and Wilshere. Let's just pretend he's not fit.
Okay. Quick bit of shout-outs. We've had an amazing show and thank you for watching. We're going to do some shout-outs. So we had Luke Flax, Robbie Baker, Matthew Dorr, Abig Adin Abhin, Owen Tully. I want to shout out. There you go, Owen Tully. Actually, you followed me on Twitter as well. Well done. Ryan the Gamer, Mimi, please. I love that. Ediki. I skipped past it. There we go. And we've got Xavier Toussaint and Hassan 770. Those are the first people who got in. I'd like to thank you for watching, everybody. We have a very good show, and thank you, Max, for joining us.
Yeah,
the discussion today was really interesting. Once again, don't end the discussion today. Hit us up on Twitter. Watch the other videos. We've got 1-2, which is a discussion show. It's really good. And we have the daily show as well, and lots of other fun videos. But make sure you tweet us as well. So that's thank you and goodbye from us.
See you later, guys.